Hey guys, it's Max. We just got in Samsung's brand new S21 Ultra, and today we'll be comparing it to Apple's iPhone 12 Pro Max and seeing which one of these is the flagship king. In this video, I'm not only gonna cover things like specs, design, and performance, but I wanna know how good is the brand new Snapdragon chip with that new X60 modem. So we're gonna do a speed test, and also the new display with higher brightness, high resolution, and high refresh rate, and I want to test out the new fingerprint sensor that's supposed to be much faster. The first thing that I want to mention is how tiny this box is, and that is because Samsung, after making fun of Apple, went ahead and got rid of the charger. But I think that's more of a headline grabbing thing because they gave me all of this stuff for free, including one of these 45-watt chargers when I pre-ordered this Samsung S21 Ultra. So it's kind of funny to me. Let's go ahead and open it up, and it'll be my first experience with this brand new phone. All right, this thing looks pretty dang massive. It's always interesting how a small difference in screen size makes a big difference, and I did get the silver one. Let's go ahead and peel off all of these stickers so we can get a better look. And man, what do you guys think about that camera bump? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Is it interesting for you? It does make the bezel over here, the frame, really, really thick. Holding this thing in my hand, the first thing that really pops out is how heavy it is. It definitely feels chunky. But with that said, picking up the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it also feels very heavy. It does feel maybe slightly lighter, or maybe it's just the fact that the sides are square. I'll have Angelica put up both weights right over there. The other thing that stands out are all of these fingerprints. I figured that this silver model wouldn't get as much fingerprints as that matte black one, but take a look at that. The iPhone has barely any fingerprints, and I haven't even wiped it down. I've been using it as my daily driver, whereas this Samsung, after just a little bit, look how much fingerprints there are. As far as comfort in the hands, the round edges do feel a little bit softer or something like that, but these flat edges on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, they definitely give you a lot more grip. It feels like this phone's not gonna go anywhere. Now the S21 is definitely quite a bit thicker. You can definitely tell right there, but that is only the beginning. If we go ahead and spin these and we compare the camera bumps, that is an insane difference. The thickness there is crazy. Now, does that mean that the S21 Ultra's cameras are gonna be much better than the iPhones? Well, we are gonna find out in our blind camera comparison that we have coming up. These are always so much fun, and not only are we gonna do one against the iPhone, but I'm also gonna toss in the Note 20 Ultra and the S20 Ultra in one of those, and we will see truly how much better the cameras have gotten. If you guys wanna see that, click that subscribe button. Actually, it's right there below, enable notifications, and with that, you can help us reach our goal of 600,000 subs before March, which is our 2-year mark. If you do that, that would be amazing. And I have to say that overall, as far as the design, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is definitely much more premium feeling and looking compared to the S21 Ultra. It almost seems like they took a step back. And now it's time to set up my fingerprint and test out how this new sensor works. Let's go ahead and get this set up. All right, let's see how fast this thing is. All right, pretty quick there. There's still a little bit of a delay. And honestly, it doesn't seem that much faster than the Note 20 Ultra, about the same. But we will be doing a side-by-side comparison against that, showing you guys which one you should buy, so we'll find out. But now let's go ahead and do a little test against the iPhone. Let's turn off the screen. Okay, tap and go up. It's hard to do with both, but I feel like I'm getting a little better at it. All right, well, let's try one by one. You guys saw the speed here, just a little delay. And with the iPhone, tap and scroll, tap and swipe. So the S21 definitely seems faster, and of course, with everything going on, it is great to be able to have a fingerprint sensor. Now, I am super excited to compare these displays and see how much better the new S21 is, but first, I wanna check out the differences in speakers. Samsung has been doing an amazing job upgrading their speakers. They sound great, they're loud, so let's go ahead and take a listen. Guys, put on a pair of headphones, and let's see which one sounds better. All right, guys, go ahead and comment down below which one sounded better to you. Now, to my ears, the Samsung definitely takes the win. This has been a common trend. It's a little bit louder. Not only is it louder overall, the mids are also louder, whereas on the iPhone, it's usually the high frequencies with these newer models that really stand out. So Samsung, great job. And now let's go ahead and compare the displays. Now, the first thing that stands out to me is just how blue the screen of the S21 Ultra is out of the box. It looks crazy. The iPhone is a little bit warmer, but I did find a setting over here where you can actually limit the blue eye comfort shield, and then it does make it look much closer to the iPhone, a little bit more natural. Now, along with that, out of the box, our screen resolution is set to Full HD Plus. It is not set to the highest option. So I'm gonna go ahead and change it. And thankfully, with the S21 Ultra, we can actually keep it in adaptive motion smoothness, so up to 120 Hertz, and have that high resolution setting. So right now, we have much more pixels than the iPhone, and we have twice the refresh rate. So as you can see in our super slow motion footage, the screen is much smoother on the S21, and this is what really makes your phone feel snappy. Now, as far as display sharpness, I cannot see a difference. Both look fantastic, but we will be testing out HDR video really soon, so we'll see if we could see a difference there. Now, with that said, when we used to have to turn down the resolution on the Samsung phones in order to get 120 Hertz, there I could definitely see a massive difference. So now there is no disadvantage on the S21. And now let's compare the display brightness. I adjusted the top camera so we're not blowing out the screen, and the iPhone is insanely bright, but the Samsung has the newest best OLED display. So let's go ahead and max out the brightness and see how they compare. And as you guys could tell, the Samsung is not as bright if you want to manually adjust it. That's because Samsung puts a limit on there where Apple doesn't. Now, if you're using auto brightness and you take these outside into the sun, they're gonna be about the same as far as brightness. Now, I went ahead and I turned down the brightness on the iPhone to match so we can look at the color or brightness shift. And taking a look at these phones, the color doesn't really change on the iPhone. They did a great job this year, but the Samsung shifts quite a bit. Here you go. You guys can see from that side camera how it looks. And then here's the sideways shot. The Samsung got much more blue. And now let's compare HDR video playback, both the quality and just how good that HDR is. The iPhone is playing back this HDR video clip at 4K, which is crazy, but the Samsung, it looks like it's still only letting us play back at 1080p in HDR. Taking a look at the differences, wow, this is massive, and I was not expecting this. Both of these are turned up to the max. HDR is working, but the iPhone is so much brighter. Not only that, but just the bright spots are popping a lot more, where the Samsung, it just looks all gray and dull, almost like HDR isn't working. And not only that, the detail in the iPhone from that oversampled 4K image just looks stunning compared to the 1080p that's playing on Samsung's super high resolution display. So as far as HDR video, the iPhone is the clear winner, but who knows, maybe Samsung will fix this issue with a firmware update. If they do, we'll let you guys know in our full review of the S21 Ultra. And now let's go ahead and compare the 5G speeds. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my SIM in here. Both these phones are connected to T-Mobile, and we don't have the ultra fast millimeter wave 5G. That is pretty much non-existent, and you have to be right next to the tower. But we do have 5G that is quite a bit faster than 4G, so let's see how these stack up. All right, we are connected, and what's interesting is that the iPhone is only showing 2 bars out of 4, as you guys can see right there, whereas the S21 Ultra is showing 5 bars. So let's go ahead and run it. They're both connected to the same tower, to the same server. Wow, okay, this is weird. The iPhone has only 2 bars, but we're getting incredible speeds that we've been getting the last few months. We've actually been uploading a lot of videos through our phone because of how fast it is. But the S21 is falling behind. We have pretty much 55 compared to 12.5 as far as download, and then the upload speed is much closer, 19 compared to 17. Now the real test is going to be when I take this S21 Ultra to a few spots in town where there is very little service to no service. I'll see how it does and I will report back to you guys in the full review, but for now, the iPhone wins that one. And now let's compare the rest of the performance. We have Geekbench 5 opened up right here. We're gonna run our CPU test. We have the brand new Snapdragon 888 processor. It's 5 nanometers now. And let's go ahead and run our CPU test. Another difference that we have is that we have 12 gigs of RAM here on the S21 Ultra compared to just 6 gigs. We have our results and this is incredible. I was not expecting this big of a difference, honestly. The S21, it seems like it actually caught up to the A13, which was not a 5 nanometer chip. Whereas Apple's A14 is absolutely smoking it. We have about 24% higher performance in multi-core and 41% higher performance in single core. I thought it was gonna be closer, but that is very interesting, I guess. So specs alone don't mean much. Now, of course, we also have differences in graphics. So let's go ahead and we're gonna close this down. I have GFX Bench opened up. We're gonna do the same exact high tier test. Let's go ahead and hit start. All right, we are complete and it looks like we got 27 frames per second on the S21 and 38.6 frames per second on the iPhone. So that is a difference of 43%. Once again, I'm kind of surprised or maybe shocked. I expected the graphics to actually be closer than the CPU, whereas this is actually the biggest difference in CPU performance that we've seen. But with that said, Vadim is actually gonna be doing a gaming test and we'll see how these compare in real world gaming. Of course, the Samsung has many advantages such as maybe better cooling, so the screen might not dim, might not get as hot, has a bigger battery, and it has that 120 hertz display. So make sure you guys enable those notifications if you guys wanna see that. Now, even though the processor and graphics are slower in the S21, this phone has a massive advantage, and that is battery life. That chip has a new X60 modem for 5G that sips power compared to the iPhone. And not only that, we have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery installed compared to about 3,700 on the iPhone. And along with that, not only do you get to enjoy the 120 hertz screen, it also will go down all the way to 10 frames per second if it needs to, like when it's sitting here, and that also saves battery. So even if you select the best quality 120 hertz, you're still gonna get a few hours of extra battery life with the S21. Now here's an estimate compared to what I know so far with my usage, but I will get back once we get a full test. Now another very cool thing about the S21 is that you can use an S Pen with it for the very first time. Now unfortunately, the S Pens are sold out. It's gonna take a couple more weeks to get, but let's see if the one from the Note 20 will work. All right, and bam, right away, we have our nice little pop-up for notes and you get all these little shortcuts to what you can do. And as I'm hovering, even from a pretty far distance, our little pointer is showing up. And let's see, I'm opening stuff up here. No issues. So yes, if you have an older Samsung phone and you have an S Pen, or you can just go online and buy one of these maybe for much cheaper than the new ones, it will work. Now, of course, there's nowhere to store it. There's no cutout. Samsung would rather have a bigger battery, which is good, but I think that is a good option instead of taking up extra space. And now let's talk about the cameras. And I have to say, this is just getting ridiculous. So look at these cutouts on the Samsung. It basically seems like the more circles you have, the better. The iPhone looks classy. You have 3 cameras on the back, and then we have the LiDAR sensor. But here we have a laser sensor that looks like a camera. We have the telescopic sensor. There's a lot going on. Let's go ahead and flip these over. I have the camera app opened, and it looks like Samsung is still adding little filters on here. Now let's go to face. I don't want any of this smoothing. I hate that they do that out of the box. All right, we got rid of that. And that actually looks pretty dang good. Now, what I'm excited to check out is not that selfie camera, it is our crazy zoom. So this year, the zoom over here is not a 4 times optical and the rest digital. It is actually a 10 times optical zoom. Let's go ahead and press this. Bam, do you guys see that? So there's our light controller over there. Everything looks really nice and sharp. And let's see how our iPhone compares. With the iPhone, now we have a 2.5 times zoom, and we can go to 12 here. Let me kind of match it up. All right, we're about there. And wow, actually, did you guys see that change? It was blurry at first, and it looks like Deep Fusion kicked in to fight against that true optical zoom. Now, in order for us to accurately test out these cameras, I can't just take a couple snapshots here. We have to do that blind camera comparison where we're gonna test out all the cameras in a variety of lighting and low light, and then without knowing which one is which, we will choose our favorites and mention which are better and why. Those are so awesome. So we're gonna save our detailed camera comparison for that video. And now let's talk about value. Last year, the S20 Ultra was $1,400. It was absolutely insane. And thankfully, Samsung went ahead and dropped the price. It is now $1,200, but that also means it's still $100 more than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and both have the same 128 gigs of storage. And as you guys may have seen with that SIM tray, you can no longer add your own memory card to the Samsung. So you have to buy it from them. Now, thankfully, for only 50 bucks more, you can actually bump up to 256 gigabytes, where Apple charges you another 100, and you don't only get the extra storage, you also bump up to 16 gigs of RAM, which I don't really think that you need, but it is still awesome to have more RAM in your phone than a lot of people have on their laptops. And overall, in terms of value, I have to say that the S21 Ultra is coming out ahead. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but you get insane battery life with that huge battery, and you get this amazing screen that runs at 120 Hz at full resolution and can go down to 10 Hz if it needs to, which is what we want from the iPhone. Now, yes, the processor isn't as powerful, but it still is plenty fast, and we get all of these cameras with the optical zoom that I'm so excited to test out. But you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Now, my biggest question is, how does it compare to the Note 20 Ultra? Because this phone, in my opinion, is a much nicer design. It looks so good, it looks premium, it feels premium, and you can get it at a better price now, which we'll link in the video description below. So we are gonna be comparing this tomorrow head to head. You guys can check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Click that circle above to help us reach our goal of 600K subs before March, our 2-year mark. That would be amazing. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next video.